Welcome to the Player Attack summer season, thanks to Wargaming. We're taking a few weeks off to relax, go outside, enjoy the sunshine. Wait, who am I kidding? We're going to be playing our way through a whole stack of video games. Player Attack will be back in 2014. We've already got some exciting things in store, so stay tuned. We will still be updating playerattack.com throughout the holiday season, as well as hanging around on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can drop us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, if you've got something to say. In the meantime, why don't you take a little while to catch up on some of the Player Attack highlights from the past year as we revisit some of our favourite clips.
You can be hacked. Someone is inside the network. We have seen him.
You wanted the system hacks?
You got me in.
He is not DevSec, and we do not defend him.
Police believe they are closing in on suspected vigilante Aiden Pierce.
Suspect is in a vehicle and attempting to flee.
He is proof
Squad, we're on the scene and in pursuit.
that the CTOS network is flawed.
Watch Dogs is a game where you play as Aiden Pierce, a modern-day vigilante whose most powerful weapon is his smartphone. Aiden's a hacker who's able to control Chicago in the palm of his hand, basically, and that's the promise that we bring to the players. You've got an entire city that you can explore and control at will. Aiden is a guy whose family was hurt quite tragically, and he's out for vengeance to find out the people who attacked his family, and he obsessively protects his own family while he hunts down the ones responsible.
He doesn't seem like a very nice character. What do you do to make this guy likable?
Yeah, it's a good question, because he's very much an anti-hero. We've always thought of him as a guy who, you know, he has noble goals. I think when players understand why he's doing what he's doing, they'll buy into it, they'll understand it. But I think for sure his methods are questionable. You know, we've given this guy the ability to hack into anybody, invade privacy, steal bank account information. He can hack traffic lights that cause accidents. So what he does with that is where the morality comes into play. You know, what kind of guy do you want him to be? But, you know, within all that, yes, Aiden has a dark story. Yes, he's got a dark past that he's trying to reconcile. We want to make sure he's a likable guy at the same time. So the characters that he interacts with, there's a guy, Jordy. Jordy is a fixer that Pierce works with, who helps him out in situations. And Jordy and Pierce have a fun relationship. It's a quite an entertaining, comical in a way relationship. And I think players will buy into that. At the same time, the city itself has lots of fun activities you want to end up doing. You know, we don't want it to be just about this single path of Aiden's journey. We want you to be able to go out and explore the open world, because we are presenting you with the whole city. We want to make sure you have some fun with it. So there's lots of opportunities for, you know, city games that you can have fun with.
Okay, I'm lost in Chicago. All I have is my smartphone that can hack absolutely anything. What am I doing with it? What can I do?
Okay, well, here's what's really cool about Watch Dogs, right? Let's say you're lost, like you say, you're at an intersection, you pull out your smartphone, immediately profile information comes up and you start seeing details on people. You're able to hack phone conversations, you're able to pick up rewards from people. The game comes to you. You don't have to go off and find an adventure, it all comes right to you. You can pick up a conversation that tells you about a possible crime that's happening, and you can decide whether you want to go try and stop that crime or not. So it's not the kind of game that you have to run around and go find the opportunities. They can easily come right to you, and I think that's what's fresh about the game. That's what's new about the game. It's very important for us that player expression it's key to Watch Dogs. So any mission that you have, there's many ways you can enter. There's many ways you can solve the situation. Like, for example, let's say you've got to get into a secure CTOS building. Well, you could go in, pull out your guns, and just go guns blazing. Choose your way in and just take out everybody. You can go more stealth and take it very quietly and not disturb anybody. Or you just hack a camera and go from this camera to this camera to this camera and find your way right inside, and nobody's ever even known you're there. So the player has a lot of choices on how they want to do it. There's also combining your skills. You've got driving, you've got weapons, you've got hacking. All of those can be combined in any combination that the player decides. They have many tools that they can approach. There's the traffic lights over here. There's bollards over here. Steam pipe you can hack into. Equipment that you can hack into and try and mess with people. We give the ingredients to the player to let them figure out how they want to solve a situation.
You mentioned there was multiplayer. How does the multiplayer work with such diversity against two players facing off each other, or is it co-op? How does it work?
Yeah, we have a lot of multiplayer going on, but the one thing I can talk about right now is what we call seamless multiplayer. So let's say you're playing your game and you're enjoying your city of Chicago, roaming around, and suddenly I sneak into your game without you even realizing it, and I hack into your hack into your cell phone. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drop a virus on your phone. Now you immediately can see that I'm doing that, so now you're looking through all the civilians of Chicago trying to find me. Where am I? And you have to stop me before that virus reaches 100%.
Roll out. World of Tax. Play for free at tax.asia.
Pass to Bogdanovich. Now the dish to Anderson. Soft touch off the glass.
NBA 2K14 started off as being that project that was going to be the prelude to our introduction of next-gen systems. And it ended up being, kind of the crowning jewel of the series on our current gen, so 360 and PS3. Interestingly enough, what we found as we were trying to develop all these new things was that many of the things that bothered us, or many things that we wanted to improve, had application on both sides, both on next gen and on old gen. And so it was easy to work in synergy and make sure that we had a consistent game. And that was one of the big things. We wanted an experience that was consistent, whether you were playing your best friend who only had an Xbox 360, or you're buying an Xbox One or a PS4. We wanted the user to be able to pick that game up and find themselves immediately familiar, and yet be able to say, well, the new one is a lot better. We finally partnered with StatSync, and they're just going to be delivering updates to player statistics as soon as those games are over, and they're just going to be pumped in digitally to us. And the nice thing about it is that we created an engine on our side that takes that delta and translates it to immediate deltas within the roster that the user is playing with. So the cool thing about it is that the experience changes based on how good your player is, and that will not be this, you won't be waiting for a roster for a couple of weeks, or for this trade or this injury or something like that. You'll get that update, so your game will be consistently altering from one day to another. So if an injury is really affecting the way Carmelo Anthony is playing, you'll see that decline in his performance, and he won't be the same superstar that he normally is. For years and years, we were married to the shot stick, and we thought that the shot stick, was a very natural way of shooting the basketball. At the same time, we also thought that dribbling with the right stick would allow you to get as many of the cool moves and being able to really feel like you were handling this basketball. And, the question was how to marry it. We found that there were just too many holes in our content to really deliver the experience that we thought that it would generate if it was done perfectly. So instead of shipping a broken version of the Pro Stick, we decided to go with what we did last year, which was that hybrid system where you could switch back and forth between the shot stick and the dribble stick. Now the Pro Stick is the most intuitive way I've ever thought of handling the basketball. I mean, anytime I tap the ball back and forth, I'm getting dribble moves, and all I have to do to get a shot is to now hold it in a particular direction. And I think it's going to open up fun in a lot of ways. And when I say this, I'm being honest, being that I'm as jaded gets as in gaming. I think it's going to open up fun from the standpoint of the fact that it's so accessible that even if you're not somebody who always plays basketball games, you'll be able to pick that system up very, very quickly. I always thought that video games were just as good of a medium as radio to to promote artists, to launch careers. I mean, to tap into the entertainment side. And so we finally the record companies are starting to see the same thing, because they used to be like, oh, you want to use our song? You owe us this much. And we're like, no, 6 million users and a gazillion impressions. You don't get that on the radio. So finally, there's this partnership where we're getting the best of music and they're getting, all of that exposure to their artists. And it's finally giving us the ability to say, hey, you know what? Our soundtrack is as current as what you're listening to in the car, so you might as well listen to the game and not play, whatever else that you have going on. Daft Punk, Eminem, Jay-Z's on there. I know Drake is, because that song comes on all the time. Rihanna. I mean, these are really, really big names. So, and I think that those artists, I think that being called by LeBron to say, hey, you know what, I actually want to use your song, has a little bit more effect than, hey, this is Rob Jones from 2K Sports. Could I use your track?
It's no secret the current generation of consoles have been holding back PC gaming for some time now. The hardware just can't compete with the latest high-end CPUs and graphic cards. While console gamers are spoiled for choice when it comes to pushing the limits of their hardware, PCs just have been vastly ignored. One of the few exceptions to this is the Battlefield series of games. Although the Battlefield series is out on consoles, they have always been first and foremost a PC title, and they have never been scared of pushing the latest tech to the limits. Battlefield 4 is no exception. I could never hide the fact that I'm a fan of the Battlefield series, and I have loved all the previous games, that is, up until Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 left me a little disappointed. It wasn't just a very linear single player, but it was just the overall look of the game. I'm all for games looking pretty, but not at the expense of the gameplay. I believe DICE got this balance wrong in Battlefield 3. In my opinion, they just made it too hard to see the bad guys, too much glare and too much overall blue look. I'm guessing I'm not the only person who thought this though, because DICE have brought back everything I love about the game with Battlefield 4. That is, except B-17s. Battlefield 4 really has pushed the limits of what a game can do in multiplayer. Let's get some basics out of the way first. There are 4 classes: Assault, Recon, Support and Engineer. Each of those classes have different skills. For example, Recon sports a sniper rifle and C4, and the Engineer carries an RPG and has the ability to repair vehicles. Of course, all these weapons are upgradable as you rank up in the game. You then have the vehicles. These range from fighter jets down to ski boats and 4-wheelers. Anyone can use these vehicles, although I highly suggest you put use of the practice areas to get the hang of your flying first. The multiplayer also includes squads and a unique and detailed commander mode which doesn't occupy one of the 64 available player slots. Of course, if you don't play well with others, there's a single player mode. The single player game is made up of 7 campaigns, ranging from sea, land, snow, forest, and even the belly of the ship. The storyline, while not being the most complex, is still good, and really most of the game is spent shooting rather than watching story development anyway. There is enough character development to keep you interested, and the inclusion of some very strong female characters is also nice, even if you can't play them in single or multiplayer modes.
Clouds are breaking up. The storm is settling. We're in a hurry.
I don't like this shit. What are you, crazy? The 4 of us against an army?
We discussed this mission in detail with Garrison, okay? He was well aware of the risks going in.
No, you discussed it. You discussed it behind my back.
What is your problem? You don't like having a woman in your squad?
I don't have a problem with women. I got a problem with liars!
The single player also uses the same large maps the multiplayer does, which is great for fans of non-linear gameplay. Back in the day when we played a first-person shooter, you could take multiple routes to get to the same destination. Battlefield 4 also has some of these elements. Saying this, there are negatives. First one, can't go without mentioning. I was on a dam, I died, the game went to reload from the checkpoint and locked up and refused to load. The fix was to play the entire campaign again and not die at the same place. This was a substantial chunk of time as I was already 3/4 through the campaign. In any other game, this is the time I threw my hands in the air and refused to keep playing. And this is what I would have done if I wasn't enjoying it so much. Hopefully that'll be fixed in one of the first patches. I have to admit, I see the single player in Battlefield 4 as a prequel to getting online in the multiplayer. You get to learn the weapons, maps and vehicles, all without annoying the other 63 people on the server. But in my opinion, it was still a little shorter than I would have liked. The guys over at DICE and the Frostbite engine never stop amazing me. The ability to have so much happening on the screen, the new destructible worlds, 64 players and the awesome graphics make for a fantastic game. Really, many of the things that turned me away from Battlefield 3 have been fixed, and Battlefield 4 has become one of my favourite games of the year. And in my opinion, the best PC game for some time. It's good to see a company who wants to push PCs to the limit rather than just settling on what a console can do at the time. Although you can get the same great experience on console, I really suggest you upgrade your PC and see what this game can really do.
Roll out. World of Tax. Play for free at tax.asia.
Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen from Player Attack. I'm here with the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Stephen Yarwood, and it turns out he's a bit of a secret video gamer. So apparently, your background history, you're into city planning, obviously, and you're a bit of a futurist and you enjoy that sort of thing. There is one game, obviously, that people are going to assume that you've played. So tell us, how much SimCity have you played in your life?
Well, I'd hate to admit exactly how many hours I've spent sitting in front of a computer. My old Pentium 75 playing the original SimCity, right through to more recent times. But I've got to say, right now, I'd much rather do the real thing because I've got that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I do like saying that being Lord Mayor is just like playing the game, only much more significant.
So you were saying that you haven't actually had a chance to play the new one because you are too busy doing it in the real world. But I hear that you have also won prizes for your skills at older versions of SimCity.
Yeah, I went to a national town planning conference and they actually had SimCity as a competition, only they had the sort of assessment of how you would win as the most money. And I knew at the time that wasn't right. So I sat down with the judges and helped rewrite the rules of who would win and why. And then I went on and actually won it.
So how is it different being a mayor in the real world as compared to being a mayor in SimCity?
Oh, well, I like to say that cities aren't rocket science. They're actually infinitely more complex. So, you know, we're talking about a billion different variables, about, you know, dealing with people and subtly influencing how they use cities. And also we're going from an era where it was a sort of car dependency, and we've got to start to tackle some of these issues of congestion. So Australia might lose $20 billion of lost economic productivity from people sitting in traffic jams. So you've got to kind of work with what people want versus what cities need. And so you're really in the city business, and it's about getting people to move efficiently and get all of those sorts of things. So it's also about influence. Everyone thinks I've got this amazing magic wand and I can just approve developments, refuse developments, and just make things happen. It's not really about power, it's about influence and getting people to work together. So you've got to be much more patient and even better, at least you don't get aliens attacking and stuff like that. Well, I'll touch wood, hey? And of course, in the 21st century with email, social media, Facebook, Twitter, it's also about being accessible and, you know, just imagine 1 minute to read and 1 minute to respond to 600 or 700 emails is actually about 20 hours a week. But I love keeping the local in local government.
And you do it all yourself. I mean, when we got here, you were sitting there, right, yep, can't talk, too busy emailing people.
Yeah, absolutely. I do all my own social media and I really enjoy it. It's this sense of being able to connect with the community, and I've been doing it for so long and in such a positive way that it is about me doing it, that even when I get trolls attacking me now, it's really bizarre because I have this community around me who actually come in and defend me and say, back off, this guy's actually trying to do the right thing. So that's been a really positive experience, and certainly there's Lord Mayors in every capital city in Australia, and I'm really punching above my weight in social media, so it's nice to be about 10 years younger than all of them and actually show them up in the digital dimension.
And I mean, speaking of being younger, you have made some amazing changes and improvements to Adelaide over the past, little while. I mean, we're seeing food trucks, we're seeing street art, we're seeing, the renovations that have been made to make the city a much nicer place to come into and just hang around with.
I think the most important thing is by making the city cooler, dare I say, more fun. It's a conscious strategy to keep young people who graduate in this city. We want them to start their businesses here. We want Adelaide to, really engage in that online 21st century information economy so that Adelaide can punch above its weight as an international brand of excellence. So there's a whole pile of stuff from having a completely immersive Wi-Fi network throughout the entire CBD, the first in the country, right through to live music because entrepreneurs play in rock bands and wear jeans, and street art. We've increased outdoor dining by 30%. So there's a huge amount of really positive things happening, some great infrastructure happening in the city, small bar legislation, really trying to make Adelaide a much more fun cultural environment. And in fact, I make the claim that we're actually the third busiest CBD in the country. We might not be Sydney or Melbourne, but boy, when you come here and you spend a few days, you kind of leave thinking this is a cool town to hang out in.
And to think, a large part of this came from you sitting around and sitting in zoning residential and commercial areas as a young person.
Well, I have to say, certainly as someone who did a town planning degree and is passionate about urban futures, playing SimCity was a part of that. It was all about me sort of learning how systems work, how things interact, what the consequences are of decisions, etc. So honestly, part of my education really got my head around it.
SimCity wasn't the only game that you played growing up, is it? You've also expressed a bit of interest in some other vastly different genres that may or may not have impacted on your life as Lord Mayor.
Yeah.
What else did you play?
Oh, wow. Well, certainly these days, over the Christmas break, I do admit to hanging out with my 3-year-old son and playing a bit of Star Wars Angry Birds, but that's just kind of like when you can't be bothered sitting in front of a computer and working hard or thinking too hard. But I've played a fair bit of Diablo, but also, for me, it's those 3D full roaming. So I am old school, so I'm talking Doom and everything that's come out of that sort of space, but being able to set up a keyboard and a mouse and get to the point where you're actually quite native in terms of being able to walk through a 3D digital dimension and feel really comfortable, walk, step, side step, jump, all of those things. I got to the point where I feel really comfortable. There's no motion sickness, and there's something to be said for packing a seriously big gun.
And that's about it for this week's Player Attack. Thanks for watching. We will have new content for you in February, but in the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till we revisit some more favourite content next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.